Turn up one time for the vibe. Turn up two times for the ride. Double tap that screen one time. Cause you're listening to the 5-5.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Vibe 5 Radio. I am super excited because it is March. Y'all, it's my birthday month, and we got some super duper exciting people that we're going to be having on the podcast this month. Y'all, last week, I know y'all were super excited about last week. So this week, we got somebody extra special. ReNae, please introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, I am ReNae, aka Queen of Royal Chic Industries, the fashion company. Yes, indeed. Hey,
Come
Brian.
on. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here.
We excited to have you. I tell y'all every time that I get on this microphone and this camera that I'm super excited, but I'm always super excited to have family here because.
We like the end.
So before we get started, I don't know if y'all saw my Instagram post around December, after the award show. But I was in a magazine. Just wanted to, refresh y'all's memory. But I was in a magazine, and it was in her magazine.
It was.
So, well, first, tell them which issue was that?
That was issue number 4. It was called Mode, Making Our Diaspora Exceptional. So essentially kind of highlighting the exceptionality within the Black community and also highlighting the fact that the diaspora exists and that Black people come from everywhere. And so it's not just about, oh, well, I'm Ghanaian or, oh, I'm just regular Black from Atlanta. It's like, okay, we're all Black. We all have commonalities. So let's find that middle ground of just, accepting our culture and celebrating our culture, as a community. And it's a lot that goes into being Black. So just trying to highlight everything that comes with it. And it's so much so you can't really highlight everything, but just kind of showing that being Black is amazing. So, yeah.
Okay. So now you already know that I have questions. But before we get into the questions, now we already know that last month was Black History Month.
It was.
And today's the 12th. So I'm really excited. Oh, but tell me, okay, I get ahead of myself, y'all. But tell me, how do you feel about being Black and being like a Black owner and all that stuff, like with everything that because they were with the whole DEI situation and everything else that's going on. How they were saying that we needed to only purchase Black stuff on February 28th. Mm-hmm. Well, tell me how you feel as a Black owner, but tell me also how you feel about all the stuff that's kind of going on with all that.
Being a Black owner is very tough when you come from not upper class, middle class spaces. So you kind of got to work your way up and dig from the bottom. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it, for me personally, has been just grinding and hustling and seeing who's all interested in my ideas and who believes in empowering Black people the way in which I see us being empowered. And so thinking about DEI programs and just the whole idea of diversity and inclusion, it's so much more than just race that goes into that. And I think as the movement has been happening, you kind of see that not just Black people are under attack, but you have people in wheelchairs that are under attack. You have families who are, who have maybe one parent or something like that. So just different people are affected by this. It's not just Black people. It's not just Hispanic people. It's not even just, white people are also being affected, if we care. But they are also being affected by this. So it's a lot of different people are not benefiting as much as the folks in power might have thought. And so with that, it comes, now we got to stick up for ourselves and do our own thing. So if that means buying Black, that means buying Black. If that means, growing it yourself, get out there, get to digging, right? So just kind of finding that way to be independent while also supporting one another as a community, using everybody's talent to build and things. And it's a lot of people who do a lot of the same things that Walmart does, a lot of the same things that these other companies have going on. Like, we can do those same things. A lot of different platforms that Black people have created for Black people, for other Black people, all that's coming into play. We just have to find them and support them.
Right.
One of my team members was telling me, I need to get on YouTube or put my videos on there. I'm like, that don't make sense, because if I want people to invest in me or like get direct tips from me, why would I put it on YouTube? Why not just put it on my own website, So that way I get my traction there instead of giving YouTube all this extra traction. They're a big platform, and, kudos to y'all, but also it gives smaller companies the opportunity to put themselves in the mix, So that's kind of where I'm at. I like to support small spaces, and, because we're going to be big, and
Right.
it's about
Right.
getting all the eyes on us instead of all this mainstream stuff, because mainstream things come from small spaces. And it's
Exactly.
just about, that's a big company, so they kind of took it and made it their own, even though somebody smaller who has less clout or less following, they don't get that same support. So yes, that's me on DEI.
Come
And-
on. Okay,
that.
so now let's actually get into the questions, because that like leads right into it anyway. So being a magazine owner, like, tell me how it started off, because I need to know how you got to where you are now, because I already know. Like, have y'all hold on? Let me see if I can reach it.
I did also bring the other
Oh, you got the other
copies, yeah.
So
Except
like, do
the
y'all see
first one.
this? Like, look at the quality
Come
of
on,
this.
quality. Okay.
Like,
It's nice. Y'all gotta feel it. It's nice.
it's quality. So like, I know there are a lot of small business owners who start small and they look small. You I don't know how small you started, but you don't look small based off of the quality. So tell me how you started, and then tell me how you got to that.
Okay, for sure. This all started off as a project for school. Hear me out. It was my senior year at DePaul University. Okay. Throughout my entire 4 years of being there, I was always doing something fashion related. I worked in the costume shop, and from the costume shop, I was able to build a lot of my sewing skills and styling skills. I was a costume designer for a lot of different shows that they had, like the production. So being able to visualize these characters, because you just see a play, and like you have to put that character to your mind, and like, okay, what would they wear, what would they have on, what kind of accessories would they put on. So that was just fun to kind of unpack them. And
Before you go on, like, tell me, okay, y'all, forgive me, because I might interrupt her a whole lot today, because I'm super excited. Okay, so tell me, like, what was your favorite play to work on?
wow, okay, it's two of them. So the first one was Colorstruck, and Colorstruck is by Zora Neale Hurston, my soror. Hey, girl. But she wrote that play, and it took place in the 1910s, and it kind of talked about this upper echelon version of Black people who kind of existed in that time, but they don't get that type of recognition. We don't see a lot of upper echelons in that moment. But the way she wrote it, you would think that they were like low class just because of like accents and things of that nature. So that's one thing, you talk about being Black and how folks think Black people are uneducated because of some of the ways we talk. And I'm Southern, but I'm very educated, okay? So just kind of unpacking those little things. But I did do the costumes from start to finish with that one. And it was a virtual play, because we did it right when COVID had happened, and so we had to kind of redesign the entire production to put it on film, and it essentially became like a little movie.
Okay.
It was super cute, but I styled everybody. I had to send outfits out, order things, and it was a lot. But I think I had the most fun with that, just because that was the one time where I had help. I was like in charge though, because the other plays, it might have been me and somebody else.
Okay.
Or I did the designs, but they probably picked out fabrics or, little things. So this was the first one that I was like in total control, and I was like, everybody needed to listen to me.
Right.
So it was fun. I liked being in charge. But that's where I think that was the best one for me. Yeah. And there's this other play, something about, I don't remember the name of it, but there was one guy who played like 6 different roles because it was like about the family. And I wasn't even working on the designs for this one. They called me and was like, "Hey, ReNae, I know you're not on this play production, but we at least need you behind the scenes because you're the only one that can do wardrobe." Like, and he had to change real quick. And it was like, take this off and put that back on and and take that, wig. It was a lot.
Whole
And then he had
thing.
to do, and it was like, you had to get it all in under like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. So it was super intense, but I had a lot of fun doing it because everybody was like scrambling around. And when I got there, it seemed like the director had a lot of peace, and I was like, okay, because I got you. They didn't just call me in here for no reason.
Right.
So I think overall I made a huge impact at DePaul as far as like my showing off my creative side and being like the pretty much the only Black person within the costume department. Slick in the whole theater department. Like, it wasn't a whole lot of us in the theater department anyway. And so being able to kind of show that Black people can exist in this world, and, in the theater world, rather, was very fulfilling to me. And I think because I worked in there, I was able to get a lot of the Black students to audition for different plays and just kind of step out of their comfort zone, because you don't, like I said, you don't see a lot of Black people in these plays. So kind of starting to make those strides, because at the end of the day, it's about making your presence known.
Right.
And we did a play where it was an all black cast. It was Joe Turner's Come and Going, which is also super fun to do. But that was an all Black cast, and it was like DePaul's low-key the first one that was like all Black, and it kind of like just kind of made this impact at the school. So yeah, I think that's why I liked being in the costume shop and just honing in on that fashion experience, because that kind of taught me how to see people for who they are. And even though these are fictional characters, but I bring them to life. And so being able to do that in real life kind of brings me that type of fulfillment too. I don't remember the question though. Am I getting to it?
No. So
Okay.
that was the part that I interjected with. But
Okay.
the original question was how you got here.
Okay, boom. And so in getting started in the magazine, oh yes, because I did so much fashion things at DePaul, my first year, because I did work in the costume shop my first year, the second semester I worked with one of the members of the director of the DEI, the Diversity and Inclusion building. What is it called? Diversity and Inclusion Space or whatever. But she had helped me put on the whole fashion show. And that's kind of what I was doing the whole time. So every year I did a fashion show from my first year there to the third year. Just doing these fashion shows and kind of showcasing the Black sides of things. So the first one we did different decades in Black fashion. The second one, I just had a lot of Black models, but that one was more so I skipped one. The other one was Afrofuturism, and kind of looking at different ways in which fashion would play out later on in the future. So it was a lot of metallics and shiny things. I also had a lot of leather. So it was fun. It was kind of hot. I was like, okay.
It sounds hot.
I was like, okay, this is cute. And things came together. And then the last one, that wasn't necessarily Black related, but it was fun to do because I was volunteering at the thrift store that's in Greencastle. So they needed just a lot of publicity and things like that, because they were the profit part for the animal center, the animal rescue place. So getting money to rescue treasures was the way that the animal shelter got their money. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get some people in here. So I used the fashion show as an opportunity to hold an auction. So I put all the clothes that was on the runway were things that came from rescue treasures, and we auctioned things off. we made a couple dollars. I was like, okay, a couple dollars.
on through the
When it's an auction, you just kind of let people do it. And we in college, so I ain't asking for a lot. You get your $1, here you go. You can have this, whole outfit. So, but we made a little money, and I was able to kind of like get them some clout and just getting people over there. So it felt good to kind of help the community, especially in a space like Greencastle. It's very white up there, so they're not really used to a lot of Black people. So being able to help a space that I guess wouldn't expect me to help them kind of felt good, because I always felt accepted at Rescue Treasures. Nobody was like racist to me or anything. So it was like, I connect with this place. I like clothes. Let's get it done. So after those fashion shows, COVID happened. I couldn't do a fashion show. I came back home. Wasn't nobody finna be on campus dealing with all that. So there was too many rules, and I just didn't have time. So I was at home. And so for my senior thesis project, I had to write a 60-page paper pretty much about, it included all things. So psychology, my communications, and then because I'm Black, throwing in my Blackness within that.
The Blackness.
So I talked about the doll test study and how that impacted Black children, and how basically media impacts Black people. So the way Black people are presented in media, I talked about all of that and just kind of redefining what the Black image should be, just to put like positivity within it. So, because we see a lot of things like, you got the mammy, the mama always taking care of these white kids, but she ain't taking care of her own. Or you got the sexy Black girl. So if she not working for your family, if she's skinny and, busty or whatever, she automatically sexy. So just kind of like over-sexualizing Black women instead of the opposite, which is how white women are seen as more desirable and things like that. So just kind of like unpacking those different adjectives we use to describe Black people versus white people within the media, and kind of redefining those things. Okay. Did I get to 60 pages? No, I did not. I had a cool 30, maybe 40 pages. And because I did not want to fail, I went back over the what is that called? Rubric. Yeah, the rubric for the thesis, see what I had to get. And I had saw it said I could do a visual piece. I was like, okay, visual piece. Let me do a magazine, because that's fashion. That's also going to, I'm able to type in, what's going on. So it kind of, so the visual piece was going to explain everything that happened in the paper. So I was like, boom, let's just do a magazine, because fashion magazines exist, and that's a way that I can do this without having to get so many people together, breaking all these rules and stuff. We don't want to get nobody sick, all that. So, I was able to gather a few models, get a photographer. I showed them a look board. I was just like, put these items on. It was super simple, but I was able to get the story out that I needed. I will say the first magazine is super academic. It feels very academic because I did copy paste a couple items from my paper in there. But I think that's kind of where it all started. And this quality right here was not what I did when I turned it in. Okay. I had got me a little grant, and I had printed out a bunch. Had I knew Mix'em existed at the time, Mix'em.com is where I get my magazines printed. Okay, you're welcome, Mix'em. And so I went to a printing shop, but they didn't print it how I thought they was gonna print it. They just kind of, printed it out on some copy paper and, stapled it together. I was like, okay, I guess. They put a little gloss on it. So that was a thing. So I was like, okay, well, it's just for the project. I don't need a bunch, but I'm getting it for campus so I can have them on there and people can read them and stuff. So did that, and that's kind of how the magazine started. And I took a year off because I was going to do another one, but I was moving and stuff. So it was kind of hard to gather people. And I was in Houston. I don't know nobody in Houston, so it was kind of hard to find the right people that I needed to at least take the pictures and shoot and things. So when I came back home, I was able to start doing the other ones. And I think being here with, I guess, the people that I know already and know their talents and skills, I was able to really throw myself into doing the magazine and not feel like overwhelmed about writing all these pages or taking all these pictures and putting it together. So,
Right.
yeah, but that's the birth of Royal Chic's Royal Magazine.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, so I think that there's actually quite a few people who started their businesses based off of a project. So, because I was talking to some other people that are kind of in the small business Black area, that just are within like the networks that I hang around. And even myself. So Vibe 5 ENT actually started out as a marketing plan that I did like for my now I'm dating myself a little bit. Back in 2012, for a project that I had a marketing class, because I went to school for marketing.
Okay.
So they were like, hey, create a company and you need to come up with this marketing plan. Well, behind the scenes, I was already doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had one artist. She ran away. I don't know where she's at now. Love her to death, but just, she's ran away. But I had an artist under me who I was like, we signed all of our paperwork, and she was supposed to be like, the artist that I was managing, all that kind of stuff. But that's how Vibe 5 started, because my best friend who was killed in a car accident in 2013, his name, his music name was Pro Star the Vibe.
Okay.
So, and his favorite number was 5. And when we crossed Red Dog, shout out to Red Dog, hoodoo. When we crossed Red Dog, he was the 5th in our line.
Okay.
So, I came up with Vibe 5 around 2012, 2013, like right after he had passed.
Okay.
Because I was already in the marketing class before he passed, and then when he passed, that's when I kind of like launched it.
Yeah.
But that's how all this started. So then, and as a matter of fact, March 1st is the official like year mark for like 8 years of me actually like launching it, like actually making money off of it, that kind of thing. Not a whole lot of money, because we're not rolling in dough yet. Yet.
Emphasis on yet.
Right. But that's how that started.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny how many people actually are like, they're in class and they're like, I gotta create this thing for this, this project.
Yeah.
And then it becomes something. And then from there it becomes something else.
Yeah.
And even now I still look back, I think it was maybe a few months ago or a month or two ago. I was looking back at my emails and I was just going through, and I was like, I have business proposals, I have business plans, I have marketing plans, just a bunch of stuff for Vibe 5, and I was like, I don't even have to. So that's how we got here. Lord God.
Amen.
But I love that for you.
Thank you.
I really do.
Real quick, am I able to like touch that? I don't know what's happening. Okay, I didn't want to just. Not this full. That's fake. Never have I ever had a full phone, and now well, that's enough of that. I'll send you what I got.
Okay.
What it captured. But I don't want to waste time trying to find storage. Okay, and we're back.
All right, so tell me, what sets Royal Chic from like all the other magazines, not just in like the Black community, but just like period, like what's so special about Royal Chic?
So there are so many special things about Royal Chic Industries, but specifically for Royal Magazine, no, I'm gonna go back. So Royal Chic Industries is about changing the world through fashion. So that's all we do. So everything about changing the world means using the people that exist in the world. So that leads me to why Royal Magazine is special, because we use real people. We don't use, like, as far as models go, as far as interviews and people just that exist in our community, they're all real people. They don't have these different facades. They're not mainstream famous. They're just real. And being a real person, you can relate to other people. Other people can relate to you. So for me, Royal Chic isn't even about being the best fashion company in the world. It'll be great, definitely give me my flowers. But my goal is to get people to be seen. And I want people who are usually not seen to be in the forefront. And a lot of the projects and things that I do generally are using folks who are not your standard model, not your standard visual aesthetic for what you think beauty looks like, So I want to show that everybody is beautiful in their own way. And I know that's a cliche to say, but at the end of the day, it's true. Like, we all have these different things that make us beautiful people. Right. And it's about finding somebody that's going to see that beauty within you. Mm-hmm. So ReNae Magazine is about showcasing all sorts of beauty, which is real beauty instead of fake beauty. I tell models, if you don't want to wear no makeup, you don't have to have no makeup on. Because even my edits, like, we ain't doing all that extra blush and, lavish editing. It's editing that's enough for you to see what the picture is. And, it looks clean, but you still see the real person that's in there. And I don't want anybody to ever feel uncomfortable or anything like that. But if somebody who was plus size, for example, want to do a lingerie shoot, okay, girl, let's do it.
Let's do it. Can I do a lingerie shoot? Y'all, and do not clip me in these. I'm gonna have to edit that out. But go ahead.
That's hilarious. No, but I definitely want just people to feel comfortable in who they are and just be like unapologetic about whatever they're doing. And yeah, I think that's where Royal Chic differs from everybody else. I don't put drama in my magazines. It's not about who like who and these celebrities are dating and what tips and tricks I can use to get a man or get a woman. I ain't doing all that. I'm not in the Vice column, okay? I'm here to showcase real people doing real things in life and, talking about real issues that exist within our community. My magazine is Black centered, but also in a way it's not for Black people. It's for people that are not Black who kind of take from our culture or don't understand our culture. And it'll give them the opportunity to see that Blackness is not ghetto. It's not, hood or dangerous and violent or aggressive. It's confident, it's strong, it's, life-changing. It's, also kind of universal. Everything that we do, you got all these people also doing it, but it started here. It started with Black people doing it. And like I said earlier, everybody else just making it mainstream and making it seem like these things just kind of came out of thin air and they didn't. Right. So you'll see a lot of things in fashion that are reoccurring. And, just because it might have been a look in the 70s, it'll come back here and then you'll be like, oh, this is brand new. Like, no, girl, this happened in the 70s. And again, it was still Black people doing those things. So, just kind of knowing where your history is and understanding where things actually come from and embracing where it comes from instead of trying to, throw it under the bus and say, oh, I do it better. So it comes from me because I got it better. Like, no. Just give recognition to where it's come from, and then we can always improve on things. Come on, but you still got to recognize where it come from. So, yes, me.
Let me tell you, y'all. So okay, I get ahead of myself on this podcast because I really enjoy, and I was telling somebody else this. I really enjoy having real conversations with people because there's so many different. Especially within the, and I don't even want to say independent. I want to say more like the small business, the people who aren't seen, the underdogs. You get so much out of the conversations because you see it before it's mainstream. You see it before, you get to hear it before it's the it factor. Yeah. And that's why I really like having these kind of conversations. And that's why I think you and I get along because when you're sitting here talking about, putting people on the magazine that are real, you're sitting here talking about people, people that don't necessarily fit the model or fit the mainstream platform. That's what I do, that's what we do with Vibe 5. Like I really enjoy the opportunity just to display somebody who, like even with the radio show with Vibe 5 Radio, not everybody has an opportunity to get their songs on the radio. For me to have that door open for me to say, hey, you can put the people that are within the Vibe Five or that you come in contact with, you can put them on your radio. Like, having that opportunity means more to me than just, oh, I'm on the radio. It's more so of a, hey, I have an opportunity that I can present I can't talk. Present to somebody else that may not have had that opportunity before. Like, there's a level of satisfaction. Is that the word?
Yeah, satisfaction.
Yeah, we'll say satisfaction. There's a level of satisfaction that bring, and it's just like, I feel like I've done just a small part of a big picture, or I've painted a small part of a big picture, you know. So that's why I like talking to people like this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're here.
So the next is going to be we're going to be talking about a little bit about the power of storytelling. In a world where social media showcases perfection, why is it so important to tell the real story? See how that just like played in there?
It did. It flowed. Perfection does not exist, and perfection is not real. So if you say, "Oh, I'm perfect," are you, girl? Like, no, you have flaws, and. Flashback with me, when I was in high school, somebody had asked me, like, what's one of my flaws? I was like, girl, I don't got no flaws, And that was more of a confidence thing, though, because I do know I have flaws, but it's about being confident within those flaws. And that's different than being perfect, because perfection, I still just feel like does not exist, because it's too many different people in the world for something to be like the right thing or this is the perfect thing. And when you say things are perfect, that means it's like exactly how it's supposed to be. And I just feel like there's no way that we have, let's say, this white size 2 blonde hair, blue-eyed model. There's no way she's perfect, and you got 3 other, we'll just say all her sisters. One of them got brown hair, thicker than her. One of them is this, but they all came from the same person. So, like, how can you say she's the perfect one, but we all kind of came from this same space? So, I don't really believe in perfection. And so, I think people who know their flaws and embrace those flaws, that's where we can start to be like, oh, I'm perfect with myself. So myself is perfect, but my perfection looks different from your perfection. And it's not even about looks half the time. It's about, what am I doing with my life? Do I feel like I'm perfecting my talents? Am I getting good at what I want to do? Just, things like that. Am I building on myself? That's what makes us perfect. But it's still like an internal thing. So if I feel like I've reached my level, I'm where I want to be, I got the things that I want, whether it's a lot of things or a little bit of things, is this perfect to me? Boom. If it is, I've mastered what I needed to master, and I can be satisfied with my life because I know that I've made something perfect for myself. So yeah,
that's good. I had a. I hope he don't see this. JU, if you watching, do not DM me. But I used to have a section leader for the drum line when I was in college, and so the whole thing where people are like, well, practice makes perfect. So he said practice makes permanent. And something about that always stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And like since then, I've always thought about that, because I'm like, you can't really be perfect at even if you play the piano, there's no such thing as an actual perfect, like there's no perfect timing. There's no like the only thing that's perfect is God. So outside of the space of God, there's no such thing as perfect. And when I think about, like, because you were talking about like the action of things, like with practice and with doing, and no matter how hard you try, there's no mold to say this is perfect.
Yeah.
It can be permanent to where you can play the same note 7 times and then come back and do it again. So that's permanent because now you practice it until now it's permanent in your head.
Yeah.
So I like that. I would try and say the rest of his run back, but it's because he used to do this whole thing with you don't come to rehearsal to rehearsal. I mean, you don't come to rehearsal to rehearse. You come to rehearsal to
perform. Oh.
It was like this whole thing, and back then I didn't. You don't understand certain things to the level of like you get it because you're you understand to what knowledge you have.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand until I actually like put it into play. But like you don't like when you come into like choir rehearsal, you don't go to choir rehearsal to rehearse what you've already been rehearsing.
Yeah.
You come to rehearsal to rehearse what you should have rehearsed already. And like he has like a whole spiel. Like I wish I could get him on the podcast. JU, if you hear this. But like to get him on the podcast just to say that one part, that would be like icing on the cake. Just to make it make sense. But like there's really just no such thing as perfection when it comes to doing something, when it comes to making something, when it comes to creating something. Because at the end of the day, we're creatives. No matter what I do to this backdrop, it's never going to be perfect because I'm doing something to it. It's just no possible way. If I have a mold of we'll just use, because I have a 2-year-old, we'll just use Crayola, what's that stuff?
The crayons?
The crayons,
The Play-Doh.
The Play-Doh. If I have a bunch of Play-Doh and I'm molding it to something, like no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to mold it to the perfect little circle that or cylinder that it comes in. I'm never going to make it that same way ever again.
Yeah.
Like, just can't do it. But that's off topic.
I see what you're saying, though. It makes sense.
I start like, so when I start talking, I start drawing lines, and like if I can take what I'm thinking and like put it on paper, it looks like maybe squiggles, and you're like, okay, it's going this way. Wait, hold on, it's not. It's
right.
Going, wait, why is it over here?
It looked like a constellation,
right? Okay, how do you select the stories for your features?
It depends on the theme of the magazine. So I guess the question is, how do I come up with the theme of the magazine? It just comes to me. The first one was, like I said, since that one's for a project, I already knew what the topic was. But that kind of set the foundation of what I feel like my voices should be used for, which is bringing attention to the positivity within the Black community. And a lot of me has been thinking about what's important within the Black community. What kind of changes can I make? I don't really like talking about too much of American Black history because our history starts with slavery, and we know Black history starts way before then. So it's about me researching, first of all, like what's important that Black people should know about. What what don't we know about ourselves, and then how can we bring that to the table to kind of do things now to show that, to get rid of those stereotypes that are currently against us. So the topics kind of just come to mind, and I feel like if I can expand on the thought, then I'll do it like that. So the second one was authenticity. So kind of seeing what does an authentic Black person look like, because there's so many versions of Blackness. It was showcasing that authenticity is individual and it's original, and it's something that cannot necessarily be. You can't tell somebody how to be authentic. They tell you how they are authentic. So I think that was a good segue into. Oh, I think that was a good segue away from the first one, kind of just honing in on some of those ideas of. So first we talked about what our culture is, how our culture is being represented within media. Now we're talking about how we see ourselves as Black people. And then the third one, that one was the queer edition, because I was going to talk about the queer community within the second one, because that's also a form of authenticity, I feel like. But it's just so much to unpack within the queer community. So many things as far as gender, dress, masculinity versus femininity, how people feel about themselves, things like that. And so I didn't want to leave anybody out. And I also didn't want to tell the wrong story or not have enough stories to kind of show the diversity within the queer community. So that's why I gave them a full magazine, so I can really get out all of those stories and showcase, a group of people who are, traditionally not valued within anybody's community, really. So kind of showcasing that form of validity as well. So bringing validation to how the queer community has also impacted Black culture. And a lot of queer people have fought for Black people just because of the fact that, yeah, they're queer, but they're also Black. And because they're Black, they still have to go through a lot of things. And it's just doubled because they're also queer. So being able to be a safe space for queer people, I feel like is also something that I wanted to do. Yeah. Boom. And then the fourth one, this one that just released, Making Our Diaspora Exceptional. I wanted to, again, not include people. So now we open it up to the full diaspora. So a lot of people exist within the diaspora, but then also showing the futurism within African culture, or not African culture, Black culture. So we first have to kind of see where we started, and then showing how there are changes and that things will change within the community, but also it should change for the better instead of for the worse. So I was able to highlight people who are impacting the community, whether it be through music, through their careers and things like that. So just kind of showing a variety of people who are benefiting the community in different ways and giving back to the community. So making our diaspora exceptional basically means, what am I doing to improve our community? What am I doing to give back to the community, or, just build us up, bring up our children? There's a lot of things, a lot of generational curses that need to be broken. And so kind of like starting to see what things we need to hone in on as a community, or, just paying attention to different things instead of worrying about things that don't matter. So, just bringing light. And I think overall, the magazine, it has a little flow to it, but they all have like different things that they discuss, and they're all like just different things that are important to the community, that I feel like once people read it, they'll see that there's a lot within our community that is positive and that can be helpful or beneficial to one another. It's just about not being afraid to talk to one another, or not being afraid to be in a community. Folks don't say hey on the streets no more. Everyone just say, oh, good morning. Good morning. How are you? So
Asking for a cup of sugar from next door.
Right? We can't do none of that no more because everybody's so scared to socialize. And this is before COVID. This is, Right. So I think that and I think it's also because I'm Southern. So I grew up in spaces where everybody know everybody. So if we gonna say hey, but I also don't know y'all, but I'm gonna still speak because I'm not dangerous. And I think because, that could be like a mental thing too, but me speaking to somebody that I don't know kind of shows them I'm not a threat.
Kind of immediately lets their guard down.
Yeah, like, you don't have to be scared of me. I'm just saying hey. You know what I'm saying? I see you, you see me. I'm just here, but I also want to speak because, just in case nobody has said anything to you all day, or somebody might have said something mean to you. Now I can say hey to you, how are you doing? And now you feel like, oh, okay, this person cares about me a little bit. So just kind of being personable, I want to say, is something that I value too. Just being able to like do a one-on-one with somebody, or just getting to know somebody. It don't got to be so long, but I think that our community needs to like talk more and, just kind of be together. Everything doesn't have to be a competition. We can work together.
It don't have to be competition.
Like, it's not that serious. And I'm in this fashion industry, and I feel like it's so much competition within the fashion industry because everybody want to be the next best designer. Everybody want to be the best model, And a lot of folks got they noses tooted up, and it's like, you really don't have to have your nose tooted up. Just because you have a few more followers than me doesn't mean that you're better than me in any way. It doesn't mean that you have more experience than me. It just means you cute, or that you're popular enough to fit whatever everybody else want to see, and that's good for you. Clap it up, but you don't need to have your nose tooted up, because all of that can disappear, and then what are you left with? So, like, how was your attitude when you went to this photo shoot? How was your attitude when, you were a part of a show, and since it wasn't your show, you had to like listen? How are you at following people? So, it's just about working together without all this extra, I want to be on top. Like, we can all be at the top. We can all be at the table.
We can all be at the top.
We can be at the table, and it's okay.
The table is big enough for everybody.
It's big, and they always
and it's
say
about food to eat.
that part is just about being a community, and we just kind of lost that as black people. Like, that community aspect is not as strong as it used to be. So just kind of like getting back into that, I think will be good, and that's a lot of what my magazine is for. So a lot of times I'm handing them out. Look, read this, because this might help you see that black people, or us as a community, are positive. There are things we can do together. It's probably a lot of people in this magazine right now that you can benefit from. You just have to go and reach out to them. Like, I put ads in there to highlight people's businesses and things like that. So if you need somebody to do your nails, boom, here she is. If you need somebody to make you some cakes, there they are. Like, it's so many
make me a
businesses.
cake.
Look, shout out to these goodies, okay? Because them pound cakes be busting.
March 15th, make me a cake. It's in 3 days. Make me a cake.
Woo, no, I got you. But, just being able to show that everybody in this community is talented, and we just got to ask somebody. The worst somebody can say is no, and what's so wrong with that? You just ask somebody else. So
Exactly.
We're all talented, and it's just about using those talents. I also think that, like, I know money is funny, but everything don't have to be $200-$300. Okay, it don't. Y'all dragged it. Okay, yes. And I have a pretty decent job, and I feel like even then, like, y'all still taxing. You don't have to. You don't have to do all that, because even me. Like, yeah, we got to make our money and stuff, but, like, let it be reasonable, because you want people to like, support you, but if you want the money behind it, you can't start off up there. You got to give them a little taste of what's $20 going to get me today. If I send you a smooth 10, what can that do for me? So that's just what I be thinking. And I know for me, a lot of the folks in the fashion industry, Personally, I feel like they think that I don't know what I'm doing because I am so small, but I put together looks. I sew down boots, okay? I've done so many things, but because I don't have the following, they're like, oh, she ain't doing nothing. Or they don't take it as seriously. But then you have people who got all these followers, but then you meet them and they trash attitudes. They think they own this high horse. They don't respect anybody that's under them. And it's like, or they don't respect people that want to work with them. And then the only time they will try to respect you if you gave them all this money. So now they don't have a choice but to value you or like do anything. But your value does not come from how much money you make.
Your value does not.
So it's more to life than how much money you make or how many degrees you got or all these other things. Like, are you a nice person? Do people want to be around you?
At you?
I don't know. It's about personality at the end of the day. Like, if don't nobody want to be around you, why are you in these different spaces where you have to be surrounded by people? Like, go over there, do some behind the scenes work, because clearly you're not good at social interactions. But it's also like, just try, don't always be mean to somebody. Mm-hmm. Just because you think you're better than them, you don't know that person. So you don't know what kind of impact they can make on you. You don't know what kind of changes that they can make for you that can benefit you in the long run. So I don't know. It's one of those things that I always think about. Like, I already know any space that I walk into, whether I'm performing, well, not performing, but like whether I'm presenting.
I was sure about to say what you performing. Go ahead and perform now.
I don't do live. If I'm walking or I'll like do a little step 1, 2, but I can't do nothing talking. This is as much talking as I can do. But like if I'm presenting something or if I'm at somebody else's show, just like showing them that respect and like getting to know them as a person. What motivated you to do this? How do you feel about this? Is this something you're passionate about? And just kind of supporting them in that way, getting to know them as a person instead of seeing what they presented first and be like, oh, that's trash. I don't want to talk to them. Like, that's your opinion, but you don't have to judge their whole persona based off what they something you probably didn't like that they presented to you, because if that's not your taste, that's not your taste. But also that doesn't mean that they're not good at what they do.
Right.
So that's that. Okay, I'm done.
So two things. So first off, let's not underestimate how amazing you are, because you were talking about like you can bust down some boots and stuff. Now we go. I've seen your stuff. Your stuff looks top notch.
Thank you.
Like, and regardless of how many followers, you got top notch quality looking stuff. So we're not gonna patty cake that. No,
For sure.
absolutely not.
I'm working on it.
But the second thing is, like, that's a really big topic as far as what you were talking about, as far as people just, because that kind of lines up with our topic anyway. But just the way that this generation, and I can't just speak to this generation, but I can speak to even millennials now, because you're seeing it more and more often with the millennials, with Gen Z, whoever, Gen Y, all the rest of the letters of the alphabet. But you see so many of these people who they got these pop-up shops, they got these new restaurants coming out, they got this, they got that, yada yada, and it's all black owned, buy black. But the prices are like twice of what you would go to get the same thing from somewhere else. And there's no difference of, and I can't say that there's no difference. Sometimes there's very similar textures of taste, textures of assortments, or whatever the case may be, depending on whatever the business is. But these astronomical prices sometimes are just like, this is why I don't buy black. And you hate to have that come out your mouth, especially when you are somebody that's black, or even have a little bit of black in you. But it's crazy, because I look at the stuff that I put out, as far as the showcases, as far as even my music. If somebody asked me to do a show, I remember my very first time performing, since I put out my single back in 2019. I performed at Lawrence Church, and the amount of money they gave me was way more than what I was expecting. Which they was like, how much are you charging? I was like, I would do this for free, because this is ministry. But I think that people lose the authenticity of their art, their creative, their product, their service. They lose it when they start putting prices, because they feel as if this is black and we have to support black. And if you don't support black, then you don't support all black culture and for the rest of the world. I think that's a very big, and it's a very heavy topic, because it's very borderline. Because on one side, you're like, I really want to make up for the hard work that I put in, the amount of sacrifice that it took for me to get here, the amount of time, energy, patience, blood, sweat, tears that I put into my product, put into my service. But then on that other side, it's like, if I mark my prices to $100, when I don't even want to say white, so forgive me, when any other race or any other culture would have something similar, but theirs is $20 cheaper. So why wouldn't they go to the $80 versus the $100?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're not millionaires yet. We're not millionaires yet. So while I'm trying to build my business, I want to support your business, but because your business cost me more than it took for me to create my whole album, then, I'm sorry, I can't support you. I'm going to have to go to McDonald's.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people also be like, oh, I'm going to just do it myself, because y'all charging, all these hundreds and thousands of dollars to do something that, I can do at home, but I don't want to have to do it at home. So now folks are breaking their back because they can't afford somebody else to help them, because everybody is, again, in competition and they want their stuff to be the best. And it's like, you can be the best without taking off somebody's arm to get it. So I think that's kind of where that divide comes in. Because even with me, like, I'll throw some prices out there, boom, get you an ad, $20 ad, $50 ad, $100 ad. But also, you can just send me the stuff and I'll put it in there for free. You know, like it's never that serious, but that's just me trying to make some sort of profit, you know.
Right.
But like I said earlier, I'll give these magazines away if that means that somebody is going to benefit from it, if it's going to impact somebody's life.
Right.
So I want to say I care about money, but I also don't. But I would want to, because that's just the world we live in. But also, the moment I start caring about money, I feel like is the moment where this now becomes a job instead of a passion.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
That's big.
Yeah.
Because when you, and see, and I don't want to, y'all, I really don't want to be talking about some of these mainstream artists because I don't want no backlash and I don't want them to cancel me. And I really I don't want to be canceled. But at the same time, like, and I'm not gonna put this person's name out, but there was a specific artist that, and it was black artist, that came out. This person came out a long time ago. I had to have been like 2012 when their album like dropped, but they weren't like super mainstream then. They were like just getting their feet wet. Like this was their album to like put them where they're at now.
Yeah.
Now they're on top of the world. And they're in the gospel industry. But this particular person, this particular artist, when I listen to, and see, I'm one of those type of people, I listen to the words. I don't just listen to the beat when it comes to music, because I feel like the words of a song mean so much to a person. So if you meant enough to write down those words, then it meant a lot to you. That's what I feel. But I was listening to the words of the songs, and there was this one particular song that was like really speaking to me at the time. This was back in 2000, I think 12, 13, like I said. But that the words were speaking so loudly that I was like, this person has to be going through, or had to have gone through a lot to put this to paper. To get the courage to get in front of a mic, to get the courage to put this on a CD, to get the courage to sell the CD, you know? And then now I listen to the lyrics of that same person. They're still authentic to God, but you can hear how money has changed. And I hate to say it, you can hear how money has changed the vernacular.
Yeah.
And you're like, I like what you're saying, but it's so, it becomes so distant from where you came from. And I'm not telling anybody not to evolve, because that would be dangerous to tell anybody to not evolve, because no matter what you do, you should always want to do better than your last. But when you evolve so much to where everything sounds like, and you don't even have to say the words. So like, let's say I'm telling, like if I'm writing a story, if I'm writing a song or something, and I'm saying, God be lifted up. If I'm saying it, it's one thing to say it, but there's a sound, there's a way, there's an anointing on to God be lifted up. Like there's something there, and then when you don't hear that anymore, and it just to God be lifted up. Like there's a difference, and you can hear it. I feel like something else has taken the place of that authenticity, of that anointing, of that. I'm trying not to step in that lane.
I feel
it. But there's a transaction that's happened, and you can see it. And with this particular artist, you can see that money has kind of. And I won't just say money. I'll say money and fame, because when this person was starting out, you always saw them in the social media, or even because social media wasn't super huge as it is now, but they were in the media all the time, like doing, acting, serving. There's ministry there, versus it becoming this is just a job. I'm rapping, singing, doing what I got to do so I can get this check, because people want this music. Because and I feel like there's a big demand from people too that play a part. Yeah. But I think we have to find a way to remain authentic, which that's one of the prayers that I have when it comes to my music, and with even the Vibe 5 and with everything else that I'm working on with the showcases, I want there to be a level of authenticity and a level of, I'll even say a level of humbleness.
You got to stay humble.
Because
Yeah.
once you start to realize, okay, once you surpass that 7,000, 10,000 follower mark on Instagram, once you start getting the blue check, once you start getting, people who have influence, like liking your stuff, like there's a level of big headedness that can come with it.
Yeah.
And I want our people to not die in it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want us to fall so far from where we came from, or lose the root of where and I'm like, as soon as I said it, I thought about it, but I don't know, from rags to riches.
Okay.
When we don't remember those rags that we come from, and I'm not saying that everybody come from rags, but if you don't remember those areas to where you came from, then once you get to those riches, then at what point do you say, hey, I have so much money that I'm doing all this. I have so much fame that I'm just doing this. And I'm just doing things. I don't want to just be doing things.
Yeah.
I want to have a level of, what's the word?
Like you still moving and still growing. You want to
but like
No.
intensity, not intensity.
Oh,
It's a word. Ooh, I gotta find the word. I'm not gonna
level of drive.
not drive. It's another word. It's a level of
For like intense.
for like impact. Like I want to have a level of intentional.
Okay.
I want to have a level of intentionality with everything that I do.
For sure.
Yes. I want this to be intentional. I don't want it to just be, okay, I'm just doing this for money. I'm just doing this for fame.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I know that if I post this picture, I'm going to get 2,000 likes. I know that if I go on, not Instagram, if I go on TikTok and post this video and I get enough people to like it, or I get enough people, if I go live, then enough people are going to, give me the cowboy hat, or give me the,
Yeah. For sure.
I want.
You know that you're still making differences.
Yeah. So okay, so tell me, do you feel like you can still make a difference? Like I know that you can, but with what you've seen in the industry, even with the magazine, with what you see in any other industry, when people get to that certain level, like. And I don't want to be like, okay, this is Beyonce level. I'm not talking about like Beyonce level, because it takes time to get there. It's a stretch.
She's up there for sure.
She's up there.
Yeah. Hey, girl.
Jesus. Anyway, but when you get to like that certain status, do you feel like there's like a blinder? Do you feel like that? Do you like, and be honest?
I think that happens when people stop remembering what the reason they started was for. So if you don't know why you started, or if you can't remember why you started, then as you keep going, you be like, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? Now I'm just going through the motions, and we never want to go through the motions. One thing about me, I know that because I'm trying to change the world, there's not a stopping point. There's always somebody that's going to want to be more confident. They're always going to want to wear something that makes them feel beautiful while not having to, cinch and take off this and hide that, so I know for me, there's always going to be somebody that wants to feel the beauty that somebody else might feel. Yeah. But there are people like Keke Palmer, who I like her. I love Keke Palmer. And I remember Keke, like, I didn't watch Akilah and the Bee until after I saw True Jackson, because I was right in there. But went back, saw Akilah and the Bee. She was in Medea. Like, she did all these small things. And, like, looking at her now, like, she has yet to, like, say anything that I feel like is against how I know her to be. Because I know her to be a person who's very humble, who knows her place, but also is not afraid to step out of there if somebody needs to be defended, or if there's somebody that, needs that help. Like, she's at the point now where she's giving opportunities to other people because she's know where she started at and she knows how it feels to be in that industry. So, and she's always giving somebody else flowers. Even if somebody's trying to give her some, she'd be like, you can actually have one of these flowers because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even know what to, because she gets her inspiration from a lot of people. So she's a person who I feel like knows that even though she's that girl, she can still do more with what she got going on. So I will say she's a person that I can, be influenced by because of just the simple fact that she's always humble. She knows that, yeah, she's making an impact, but also she's doing the thing that she loves without having to sacrifice her whole state of being and state of mind to do that. So that's the thing. I was also going to give another example. So I haven't always been this small, but I started working out because I needed something to do with my body. I grew up always in an activity of sorts. It wasn't in a sport per se, but I did different. I was on a step team. I was in the band. I did those things.
Why did you play in the band?
The clarinet,
Okay,
Come on, woodwinds.
My cousin was a woodwind. Go ahead.
But I just needed something to do, and I felt like I had hit a block because me being big was not a problem. It was like, I'm bored. Like, I don't got nothing to do. My body's just sitting here. Like, now I feel mentally like I can't do anything because now I've created this habit of not doing what I want to or not doing something that I feel good at doing. So I started working out and I feel like it cleared my mind. But when you start, and my point is, when you start working out for the first time, no. Why am I here? Somebody come save me. They're trying to kill me. Like, that's pretty much what it feels like. And it's like, well, what am I here for? Like, what is my goal? So a lot of my trainers were like, set some goals. I was like, I don't have body goals. I have mental health goals. So like, what am I supposed to put down on this goal list? So I ended up just putting, I'll just come every day, or minimum four times a week. That way I can give my body something to do. Because at the end of the day, that's why I started trying to go, so I can move around a little bit more. Because even when I go to work, like I work with kids, but it's a lot of sitting. Like I'm in their houses, so I go from this couch to this chair.
Oh, okay.
Might to go to the kitchen, take them on a potty break, go back to said couch. So it's not a lot of movement that happens. So yeah, I'm playing with Play-Doh and building things with Legos, but I'm also laying on the floor. So like I'm real bored. So the gym gave me something to do, but also it was hard doing it. And so trying to say, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this because my goal is that I need to move my body. And then now seeing where I came from and how, not just how small I've gotten, but also I feel happier. I feel like I can get up in the morning and like be ready to go to work without having the attitude that I have to go. So it was really helping my mental really clear that up and just kind of like know that I'm here and that I'm alive and I'm healthy. My family got a lot of health issues. So again, going back to breaking those curses, trying to do something different than what everybody else is doing, but also still remaining humble. Like, yes, I know I'm snatched and whatnot, but
Come on, snatched.
that don't mean for me, like that doesn't mean that if I'm working with plus size models or models that are bigger than me, that I can't style them the way that I would style myself. Because I know when I was a size 18, I was popping too. My outfits was cute. I was eating the runway down. Okay. So it don't matter. So my point is, it don't matter what size I am or what size anybody is. I know that my job is to make people feel as beautiful as I feel all the time, regardless of what I look like. Because I know my hair, the lighting is off. So this is brown looking, but it's not brown, it's red. We're just going to say that. But my natural hair color is red. So even with this little brown moment happening up underneath where my root's supposed to be, I still don't feel like I'm like ugly or anything, you know, but there are some people who be like, oh, my roots are showing. I got to go to the salon ASAP, or, you know, my whole life is going to fall apart. So that's the impact that I want to make. That's the impact that I know I can continue to make. I just told a little story just to kind of like bring it all together. But that's essentially like where my mindset is. And I know now there are a lot of people who are like, oh, ReNae, you so confident, da, 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 da. I'm like, well, you think this is confident. Here's some other pictures of me from way back in the day, still rocking that confidence, regardless of what I look like. And so being able to just show people that there's humility within my entire existence, I don't foresee that changing. And I would hate for money to be a reason why I change. And so a lot of the times I will like do free services or do things like that so that I can just have fun doing it. You know, that money adds a lot of pressure. So one thing I don't want is to be like under all this pressure talking about, you know, this has to be perfect. But now that's when those words start to mean a little bit more like, okay, what does perfect look like?
Right.
Is this perfect? Now my anxiety's up. Now my mental health is not clear. And now I'm done going to the gym because now I can't focus because my mental is clogged. Like
everything off.
It just throws it all off. Yes, that's all I have to say.
Okay, come on. Now, I had some games that we were gonna play, but when you said Keke Palmer, like it shifted everything in my head because we are like way over time. I think we are like way over time. But
Sorry.
like when you said Keke Palmer, like y'all just don't know. If I ever had like Lauren and I have a conversation, and there are a few people that if we were to meet these people, we would probably embarrass the other person. I don't get starstruck. So we went to a Ty Tribbett concert. Ty Tribbett, Kirk Franklin are like my two top like mainstream gospel artists. Like regular gospel, traditional gospel, or in that aspect.
Yeah.
But like those are like my two top, and I got a chance to go to the reunion tour with both of them and Tamela Mann and all of them. But then I also got an opportunity to go and see Ty Tribbett. So like that was pretty cool. Like I was excited to go. I was jamming out. People got pictures and videos of me, you know, like rocking out. And I had one of my classmates from high school saw me at the Ty Tribbett concert, like just in complete worship. And I had no idea that he was there. And like he texted me like either during or after the show. It was like, I saw you out there worshiping. And I was like, oh, you got me snotting and crying. But there are some people who, if I go to their concert and I get a chance to shake their hand, there's very few that I will probably lose it.
Yeah.
Keke Palmer is one of them.
Got you. Yeah. I had saw her at like the Essence Fit. No, not Essence. It was the Black Atlanta Expo or something, one of the hair expos here. And she was on the stage over there and I was like back here and I like wanted to run up there because I don't get starstruck either.
I would have.
She's the person I want to meet just because I feel like
she's
just so real.
Yes.
So real.
And I listened to her podcast. So she's actually talks about the same thing that we're talking about in one of the episodes. But it's just so funny. She says that having her mom as her manager, and her mom, I guess, identifying the difference between being a manager and being a mom, that's how she's been able to be so level-headed throughout the whole time that she's been in the industry. Because as you and I know, she's been in the industry since she's like knee-high to a grasshopper. Yeah. So she's been in there for a while. And now she's, but the thing that really gets me with Keke Palmer is the fact that she does everything. Yeah. And that's one of those type of people that I always look at, not to make a role model out of like her for me, but I look at her as somebody who has, because and honestly, I can't even say that she's made it because she's still making it. Yeah. Let's be real. She's still making it. She's still got a whole lot of stuff that she can do that can take her way over the top of where she's at now. Now she's done a whole lot. She's done a whole lot. Yeah. Love her. but there's so many different, like if you put her in the category between her and a I'm trying to think.
Like another entertainer?
Yeah, like another entertainer. Like as far as actresses, if you put her up against a Taraji P. Henson, or if you put as far as singer, if you put her against a Brandy, like she's still not on their level, but she's making levels of her own.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing to watch her glow up every time. And I think that with all the essence of what's going on and kind of tying it into our topic of just the generation, as we look at it as now this generation has this way of making things look ugly, or making what they identify as ugly, and it's not really ugly, it's something different.
Yeah.
I think that she makes a really, really, really great impact as a person who can do it all and still not be ugly. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's why I appreciate who Keke Palmer is.
Yeah.
As far as role models for me, she's not necessarily a role model, just because I don't look up to her, because there's a lot of things that she does that I probably don't want to do, like with the whole makeup, and she's got ads for hair and all this, like. She's not necessarily a role model for me, but she's definitely somebody who is part of my generation, who I can look at and say, if she can break the barrier in this area, I can break the barrier in the areas that I desire to break barriers in.
Yeah.
So she's a very critical, and I say this very meaningfully, she's a very critical piece to the puzzle in which we all are kind of calling this life. And I say that as the most humble way for her, because when you look at who we have in our generation to look up to as far as people that are breaking barriers, there's not that many people breaking barriers anymore.
Yeah.
Especially in now you see a whole lot of the ones under our generation who are, like the live streamers who are just randomly popping up viral now. You got those. But when it comes to her, she's always been authentic, but she's always been right there in your face.
Yeah.
And it's never been like she popped. It was like she popped up with Akilah, and the being was like, wait a minute, Akilah and B hit. Like the issues that were
in, now spell that word.
Right, the issues that were even discussed in, like, and see, I think that it's very, very important that we talk about the way that she tells her stories too, because not only through her music, not only through her acting, not only through her just being her, like the way that she tells the story gives people of our culture, people of our age bracket, an understanding to say, we don't have to have it all together right now. As long as we do it, as long as we move, as long as we something.
Yeah.
As long as we're not just stagnant.
Yeah, you got to be action oriented.
Right. And she's very action oriented, and these past couple of years you've seen it more and more, because I don't know what happened with after either after the pandemic or before, like, because when I tell you she came out with that I don't know what was it called, Lauren, when she had that EP and she had a visualizer for each song, and I was like, yes. She got a song, I can't sing it because it's vulgar,
for
but
sure.
I rock with her. I rock with her. I don't care if she's doing gospel. I don't care if she's doing secular. I don't care if she getting up on TV and she talking to Queen Latifah like she ain't got no sense. Because I saw Joyful Noise.
I love Joyful Noise. Don't even get me started on Queen Latifah, because I will sit here and cry.
See?
I love Queen Latifah. Okay.
We in the same spectrum.
I will pass out if I meet her. Like,
see, and that's how
y'all gonna have to get me off the ground first.
That's how
and
I feel
then
like
see, with Keke Palmer, I feel like I can take deep breaths and, hey girl, what's up? Because boom. But Queen Latifah's a little older, and I feel like that, like, that queenliness gonna come out.
Queenliness,
Cause
yeah.
I just admire her. Like, she's my role model. That's why I'm a queen too. Cause Queen Latifah queen, okay, I like that. I'm also Queen ReNae. Like, cause we twins. Like, that's kind of how I view her. I will hit the flow if she come. If I see her, I will hit the flow. Y'all gonna have to get me up, and we're gonna have to try again. So yes, don't even get me started on Queen Latifah. Yeah.
We'll be sitting here for days. Okay, y'all. So it's been such a pleasure talking to ReNae. Like, we can literally talk for hours, especially on this topic here, because
Yeah.
y'all, for those that know, like my wife knows, I love Keke Palmer. Anyway, but we can sit here and talk all day. But tell them where they can find you. Tell them where they can find your magazine, Royal Industries. Tell them all of it.
For sure. So you can find me at, I have a couple different things. So my website first is www.itsroyalchic, CHIC. So that's ITSROYALCHIC.com. And my Instagram is, well, my fashion page, main page, where you'll see all my fashion designs and different photo shoots, will be its_royal chic. And then the Royal magazine page has its own page where you can get updates about the magazine, see different sneak peeks of when we're shooting, or sneak peeks of the different articles and our writers and things like that. So you'll find all of that information on Instagram, sorry. It's_Royal magazine. Also, for those who want to get more involved with Royal Chic Industries, we do have a member site on our website. It's only $1 to join. You'll have access to all of our blogs, our writers, information about different events that Royal Chic will be a part of, and lots of discounts on Royal Chic products. You'll have exclusive first looks at different apparel that we have coming up. I'm about to start working on the fitness line, and I'm also looking to get more apparel. So more shirts are coming soon. More two-piece sets are coming soon, so stay on the lookout for that. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, I also have a YouTube channel. Just type in Royal Chic Industries and you'll be able to see all the runways that I've ever done so far, and kind of get an idea of my style and different things that I like to make and things that I know how to make. And if there's something that you want made, you'd be like, ReNae, can you make this? And I'd be like, yes, I can. And we will go over the details for that. So yes, check me out. Overall, just type in It's Royal Chic and you will find moi. Yes, I'm ReNae with the red hair. So, yes, indeed.
Come on, ReNae with the red hair.
That's all.
Y'all, it has been such a pleasure. Y'all know this is March, so we have all special episodes this month. This is the second episode of the month, and we have more to come. Make sure y'all are following us at Vibe 5 Radio and Vibe 5 ENT on Instagram and on podcasts everywhere. We're Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, whatever podcast streaming sites, you can find us there. Yes. All right, make sure y'all check us next week. We got another surprise for y'all.
Turn up one time for the vibe. Turn up two times for the ride. Double tap that screen one time, 'cause you're listening to the 5-5.